kudos here and made the cut. Cinnamon is really amazing. It's an appetite stimulant. Like I said, we were working with this cachexia state, and having cinnamon to help with stimulating the appetite is great. It's a digestive aid. Often digestive processes are really disrupted with the harmful um, cancer therapies that patients undergo. It's an anti-inflammatory, it's an antibacterial, and it's an NF-kappa beta regulator as well. I love putting cinnamon on my oatmeal every morning. Some people will say a teaspoon, some will say a tablespoon. I think a tablespoon is a lot, but if you can manage it, knock yourself out. There's not a toxicity with respect to having that amount. Um, but I'll definitely get at least a good heaping teaspoon on my oatmeal every morning. And just as a side note, it also helps with blood sugar and I believe cholesterol, if not blood pressure. But I'm not going to go into that. But it does have a lot of other benefits as well. Um, garlic, garlic is amazing. In the back of the anti-cancer book by Dr. David Schreiber, he's got a really cool color section that is pretty much like an infographic, and it goes through different points and highlights some of the key nutrition points that he highlights in the book. And he goes through all the different kinds, the different categories of cancer, and looks at which foods make the list. And garlic is at the top of the list for colon, for breast, for prostate, for lung. Garlic is amazing. I first learned about its antimicrobial benefits and its anti-inflammatory benefits. Hearing people eating one or two cloves when they feel a cold coming on. Um, that's what first brought it to my attention, and now you probably see it if you visited health food store recently. You've seen it in capsule form. Either it's allicin, the compound in it that has all these wonderful properties to it, is being sold as a supplement, and that could be valuable because not everyone wants to chew on garlic and take on the world. Key point though, it must be chewed or crushed. So when we're watching the Food Network and they're smashing the garlic before they cut it up, there's value to it. And if you are chewing it raw, make sure you really chew it well, crush it well to get the benefits from it. And garlic, please put it in everything, guys. It's such a wicked food. And hopefully, if everyone's cooking with it, then no one can complain about garlic breath because we'll all be in the same boat. Turmeric. Turmeric is amazing because it is gaining a lot of attention in the conventional medical realm. A lot of oncologists, a lot of cancer researchers are paying attention to it, which is good because that's, I mean, they're the individuals that are going to be able to bridge some of these nutritional alternative considerations to conventional care. What they noticed is that there are lower rates of dementia and cancer in India, and turmeric is used heavily in Indian cuisine. It's used as a dye, it's used to color the food. It doesn't have a particularly strong taste, so it wasn't being used for flavor the way some of the other Indian spices are. So it's interesting that this culture had a strong understanding of the benefit of it. And I remember my mom's of Indian descent, and I remember her talking about putting turmeric in milk and how they used to boil the milk and put turmeric in it to bring about health benefits if somebody's vitality was low. And I thought that was really cool. So it's recommended that a teaspoon per day can help. Chances are it's going to be more than that. And the reason is because it's very poorly absorbed. And the way we can increase the absorption is by adding black pepper to the mix. I love black pepper, so I was ecstatic to hear this and thought, hey, you know what? I'm pretty sure black pepper has some good qualities to itself. And sure enough, it's a digestive aid, it's an antibacterial, and it's also an NF-kappa beta regulator as well. So you can go nuts with these herbs and spices. They're fantastic. Just with turmeric, remember to have some black pepper to try and get a little bit more bang for your buck, and with the garlic, crush it well to be able to benefit from it. We'll switch gears to protein. From the resources I came across, time and time again, fish was highlighted over beef and chicken, and I don't think it's inherently to do with either the beef or chicken. It's probably more to do with they we process the meats now in the way, especially in the States, antibiotics and steroids and hormones and things of that nature are now being entered into the equation where they weren't necessarily in the past. But fish are definitely on the high or on the top of the list. Salmon, black cod, herring, mackerel, and sardines. These fatty fish, and the reason we're highlighting that, most of you are probably aware of omega 3s. They're in the news. They're being added to kinds of things. And it's omega 3s are very beneficial with respect to being anti-inflammatories. They're also antidepressant. Um, Having fish about 3 times per week is great. Personal suggestion, just based on the research I've come across, having that fish oil supplement on days that you're not consuming fish to just try and maintain that steady influx of omega 3s and try to balance out the ratio between omega 3 and typically in a North American diet a high omega 6, which we're not really looking to move in that direction. That promotes inflammation, where if we can offset the amount of omega 6 with omega 3s, we can push more of an anti-inflammatory state. Point of interest here, takeaway message from this slide: steam it or slow bake. Um, this shocked me a bit, hurt my heart, because I use that George Foreman grill for almost everything, and my salmon is no exception. But it does strip about 30% of the omega 3 content. So I'm definitely looking to steaming, well, more slow baking than steaming. But either one of those methods will at least retain the omega 3 content that we're actually looking for to get the benefits. And just as an aside, omega 3's huge role in heart health as well. Um, every 10 years, I think it's the National Cancer Institute releases a position paper, and in '07 stated that it's important to limit red meat and dairy and avoid processed meats. Avoid meaning, pretty much cut them out. So that was a bold statement, and one that I think was or is an important one. Many of us are probably aware of the relationship between beef and colorectal and pancreatic cancer. And so, that being said, I'm not going to go into it too much, but what I want to touch on, and this was brought to my attention by Dr. Phil during our clinical nutrition course: incomplete combustion. The char on toast or on meat as a result of toasting your bread or barbecuing your meat. Smoked meats undergo this incomplete combustion process, cigarette smoke, all of which have carcinogenic byproducts. Um, as much as we can avoid this, it's going to be important, because this is pushing us towards that increased risk of cancer getting diagnosed with, as well as the progression. So, in combustion was something that was new to me. I mean, I've heard, beware of the char on burgers and da da da. And obviously, we know cigarette smoke is not good, but starting to understand what's going on beneath that was important. And I didn't realize that smoked meats fall into that same category. I knew they weren't great for other reasons, but this was news to me. So that, or new to me rather. So that's worth noting, and that's why healthcare professionals promote steaming, slow baking, things of that nature versus grilling. So indirect heat this summer, guys. I'm gonna push for all the barbecues that I attend to be in complete indirect heat. Limiting alcohol was another point that was brought up in this '07 position statement. One glass for women, two for men. That has to do with not only the size of genders, but things like hormone status and different things like that. If you're gonna go for an alcohol, you're probably aware now that red wine is held in a little bit more esteem because of the resveratrol in it and some other healthy properties. This was interesting, and finding out that in women, increased alcohol intake relates to an increased risk of postmenopausal estrogen-dependent cancers. 7 to 50% increase with 1 to 3 servings of alcohol per day, and I got that figure from Dr. Donald Abrams' presentation that's referenced at the end. That's a little bit worrisome, and what I shared yesterday is that it's all about balance. You know, you can look at some of these figures and some of the points that I'm bringing up and say, Liam, what am I, what can I eat or why can when could I ever have a glass of wine without being concerned about it causing cancer? It's not about that. It's about balancing. If we can towards more of a plant heavy diet, avoiding smoked meats and being or having our alcohol in moderation. It's again it's a balance game, and we have to be realistic with our approach to diet and healthy living. And I share this with all of my clients in the realm of personal training, but it really comes down to short term, small, realistic goals that you can work at, step by step, and gradually work towards a situation where these things become habitual. But, you've seen a lot of things so far. Maybe pick one or two that stood out to you. You know what? I could have some more blueberries. That's not going to be tough. I have maybe 3, 4 servings of veggies a day. I could push for 5 or 6. That's realistic. I could do that. I'm gonna make that happen. Pick one or two things that make sense to you, that spoke to you, make it your own, and I trust that will move you in the direction of achieving, uh, as Dr. Schreiber mentioned or says, that anti-cancer diet. That's my hope through this presentation. Before switching off of the ingredients section, vitamin D. Vitamin D has been in the news like crazy. It's been in tons of studies, and the reason is there's evidence that supports its role in the differentiation and death of cancer cells. And you guys are probably cancer cells don't like to die, and so to see that vitamin D may play a supportive role in their death is huge. It also helps with muscle strength and immune function, two things that are compromised during not only the disease but the treatment that follows. Reducing inflammation, again, that can come with the disease and the treatment. I've provided a link there that you can check out for some more tips and information on vitamin D specific to cancer. In '07, the Canadian Cancer Society released a statement or recommended 1,000 IU a day. This is higher than the government's recommendation of 400, and I think it's valuable and important, and I'm happy that they released a statement stating 1,000 IU. Some naturopaths will suggest more. It really comes down to your levels. You can get it tested and find out where you sit, and that can really give you a better idea of if you need to supplement or not. We're in the summer months, we're in the sunny months now. 15 to 20 minute day sun can give you anywhere between 8 and 10,000 IU. Probably after that point, getting some sunscreen on to help protect against the effects of UV would be advisable. But if you do have sunscreen on, you're not going to get the same vitamin D effects. And for those that aren't familiar with vitamin D, we get it primarily from exposure to the sun and much less from the foods that we eat. So there is a balance that we need to look at with respect to having sun exposure, but not for too long, and being able to protect our skin after that. But vitamin D is important to look at. There are many practitioners that say if you live north of Atlanta, you're typically deficient in vitamin D. So very valuable and worth talking to your naturopath. This is really cool. So Dr. Andrew Weil has some amazing stuff on his website. Don't just go to this link, like browse his whole site. He's amazing. He's doing amazing things, and he is supremely knowledgeable with respect to nutrition. He's a medical doctor and has done and is doing amazing things. He's got what's called the anti-inflammatory pyramid. I won't speak on it too much. You can read through it and see what it's about, and go to his site. He'll give you the full breakdown. But as I mentioned, as is mentioned through all of the resources that I read through, veggie and fruit-based diet. And this isn't just for cancer. This is for heart health. This is for diabetic care. This is for immunity. This is for, just vitality in general. And, we have an abundance. There's some amazing farmers markets that are out in the city, all throughout the city. During the summer months, so take full advantage of it. But definitely look into this. There's some cool tips on his site, and definitely worth reading into this pyramid if that's something that interests you.